This video is brought to you by our friends at Onyx Offroad. If you're looking for incredible trails to explore with your new Ford Bronco, download the Onyx Offroad app to access 500,000 miles of off-road trails and roads across the nation and into Baja, Mexico. Trails light up green when they're open, red when they're closed, and blue when they're featured with photos, difficulty ratings, and trail descriptions. Onyx Offroad shows you public and private land, 500,000 recreation points such as campgrounds, parking areas, boat launches, and more. You can even download your maps for when you're out of cell service. Click the link below and use promo code TFL to get 20% off an annual $30 membership. Then see where your Bronco can take you.
Alright dude, we're dropping in. And this is what Ford is calling the Ghost Pepper Trail here at the first drive.
Yeah, we are driving the new 2021 Ford Bronco on their most difficult trail here at the Offroad in Austin, Texas. And in this video, we are going to give you our detailed off-road driving impressions of the brand new 2021 Ford Bronco.
Yep, and we chose a two-door, and it has a Sasquatch package, which means it's the highest ground clearance basically, 11.5 inches of ground clearance, and it's a 35-inch tall tire.
Now, Andre, there are two different Broncos, right? There's the Bronco Sport, and then there's a full-size Bronco. What's the difference?
This is a full-size Bronco. It's truck-based, it's on the frame, it's got a solid rear axle, it's big, it's huge. It's basically related to the Ranger, actually.
And the smaller Bronco, called the Sport, is more related to the Escape. So that's unibody independent suspension. But this is the one that everyone has been asking for, everyone has been super excited for. And this one has the low range, the front locker, the rear locker. I mean, it's like a Rubicon Wrangler.
Yeah, it also has several very unique features, right? Another very unique Bronco feature is the trail turn assist. That's what Ford calls it.
Okay.
I call it rear wheel dig. All right, so now the trail turn assist, correct?
Absolutely. Trail turn assist, been called donut mode and giggle button also. So when you press that button, we have to go full lock with our steering wheel. So whichever way we're turning, to the left.
Okay.
Give it a little bit of throttle. You can feel that right there.
Yeah.
Actually pivoting, pulling that front end around. That left rear or inside tire is locked down for us as we make that turn. We just basically did a U-turn right there and stayed in position with that left rear tire.
Almost within like the length of the vehicle.
Absolutely. Yeah. Amazing little asset right there.
Not bad.
Yes.
Well, we've got a slight bit of a tight turn coming up here. There's a button up here on top of the dash with an arrow.
Yes.
I'm gonna turn that on. It says trail turn assist on there in the dashboard.
Yeah, it does.
Maybe cut this turn a little tighter than you need to, and we'll see if we can feel that inside wheel braking.
All right, let's figure this out.
So keep going straight, and then at the last minute, crank it. Nice.
Here we go.
Oh.
There, I could feel actually the... Do you feel that?
Yeah, so it kind of grabs the brakes and then it allows you to make tighter turns. Pretty useful, especially like in Colorado on some tight switchbacks.
Exactly, mountain climbs.
I could really see that being a useful feature. Yeah, that's neat.
It's coming up again. So it's in standby mode right now. And you know what else happened? I could feel resistance on the accelerator pedal. Like I had to use a little bit more gas, you know? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a weird
You can feel that, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty neat. It works well.
It's pretty cool, and I like that it's a passive system and standby, and you can turn it on and off.
Yeah.
So the next line on the row of buttons there is the rear locker.
Yeah.
And you can get the rear locker in the Bronco across a variety of trims. So you can get it not only on the top dog off-road model, but maybe something more affordable like the Black Diamond trim. And let's try the engagement, because sometimes with rear lockers, especially in the Toyota products, they come on and off quite slowly. Push the button. It's on.
Right there, and it's in my gauge cluster as well.
That's immediate, so that's really cool to see. And
so this is another cool part about the rear locker. It can come on in 2 high.
Okay.
So if you're going, maybe you don't need 4-wheel drive, but you know, maybe you're playing in the snow or other loose surfaces, right? You can use that. It can turn on in 4 high.
Okay.
Or 4 low.
Okay.
And then let's talk about the front locker.
So the front locker is apparently independent from the rear. So if you get a Wrangler Rubicon, right?
Yeah.
In order to activate the front locking differential, you have to have the rear one engaged. But apparently on the new Bronco, you can do it separately. Now, there are a few instances off-road where that may be useful, like if you're trying to really uniquely position the front in a certain way. So as we head back onto some dirt here, let me click that front locker button.
Yep.
And sure enough, it's on without the rear locker being on. This is initial impression. That's the coolest part of these lockers. It's just how quickly they turn on and off. You don't have to fight them.
Can you do both? Just I want to feel how that, how that works.
All right.
So now both lockers are engaged. And you know what? My steering effort is still relatively easy.
Okay.
Oftentimes when you're in 4 low and the lockers are engaged, you could feel it in the steering wheel sometimes.
Interesting.
This one, I don't quite feel that. But you know what? This is so loose. This ground is so loose. I needed that, actually. I needed the front locker to kind of climb over this hill. Okay,
so we're in low range and we have the rock crawl mode engaged, I believe.
Yes, we do.
There's a bunch of different
goat modes.
Goat modes, exactly. Yeah. A bunch of different terrain modes in the new Bronco.
Check it out, dude. Do you want to film this a little bit?
Yep, I'm gonna hop out and grab it. So here we have a Bronco, and the gentleman just clicked on the locking differentials. You can see it is flexed out right now, and that's going to evenly distribute wheel speed between the left and the right wheels.
You know what? I'm going to use every feature available to me, except in this particular Bronco I'm in, I do not have a front sway bar disconnect. It's available. And another very cool part about sway bar disconnect is that you can actually engage it or disengage it under load. We really want to show you the sway bar disconnect, so I picked this up. This is a first edition 4-door Bronco, and it has all the features, all the lockers and turn assist feature and the sway bar disconnect. So let's do the demo.
So this is with the sway bar connected in the new Bronco through these articulation mounts. And then Andre will disconnect it and we'll see if there's a noticeable difference in the front end articulation.
As we're driving through here, you're feeling that steering wheel pulling in your hand, right? A little bit?
Yeah, a little.
And so that's a characteristic of that independent front suspension as we're driving through there. Suspension cycling up and down. Get a little bit of that pull through those tie rod ends.
And it's getting more and more difficult
as
we're moving.
You feel we're starting to slip just a touch a little bit there, right? A little bit, yeah. So tires off the ground right there. Oh yeah, so hold right there.
Really picked up tires there. He's probably going to engage one or both of the locking differentials.
So we're actually off the ground right now. Rear tires up in the air. So we can force our way through this with traction control.
Yeah.
But again, we want to be sympathetic to our trail and to our vehicle.
Yes.
So in that situation, let's use that stay bar disconnect. So that very first button, press that for me.
Okay. Whoa, I could
actually drop. Actually feel the vehicle drop down back on the ground.
This is, of course, oh, did you see that? So Andre pushed the sway bar disconnect and the vehicle immediately came down.
Maybe just a touch of throttle.
Just a little
feel that
bit.
lock in, a little bit of spin, that locker comes on, engages, and now we're driving through this obstacle again. Perfect.
Very nice.
That's what we're looking for, right? We didn't do anything damaging to the vehicle. We didn't tear up the terrain. The whole time we're just keeping that in mind as we're driving through here. A lot of what we're doing off-road, it isn't so much about going out and just bashing and tearing anything up. We're trying to conserve our grounds that we're using also, and our vehicles, so that we can go out in the woods and come back and have fun. Keep moving forward, and we're probably going to feel a little bit of slip here in just a second.
When we get a little bit
of a transition right there. So a little brake right there. Absolutely. We get that. So let's try that stay bar disconnect.
Again?
Absolutely. So we feel that suspension releases under full load.
So front locker only.
Absolutely.
There it goes.
Nice. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Nice driving through there. That front locker pulled us through that obstacle and got us through there without having to engage that rear one. Since the tires were on the ground, on the rear, we use that front to get us through there.
Okay. So right now I had both lockers on, and then I selected my rear turn assist. and the rear locker disengaged automatically because it knows. It just knows that I wanted to make a tighter turn, and you can hear the ABS. I don't know, you can probably hear it right now. And it's trying to grab my rear tire. There it goes. And now I'm gonna try to negotiate this obstacle here. And there's actually a spotter that's helping me navigate a little bit more. Another very cool part of the Bronco is that it also has a 360-degree camera views. Because right now I wasn't sure what my obstacles were, and the camera views are actually helping, and it is a 360-degree view.
So yeah, Andre, this is supposed to be the Ghost Pepper Trail, which is the most extreme of the three they set up for us journalists. I have to say, none of this is very extreme. I wish that they would have gone a little bit crazier with some of the obstacles, because I feel like we're not really showcasing this vehicle's maximum potential right now.
We'll do two things. First of all, the day is still young, but secondly, we're in a short wheelbase, which means our breakover angle is incredible. It's actually quite a bit better than on the Wrangler. And right now I haven't touched a single skid plate, or, you know, you're mostly right, it feels really easy.
Well, because the rocks are big enough to touch a single skid plate, Andre. But of course, this is a Ford event, and they were the ones who decided to create this course and maybe show some of what the vehicle can do. So, independent front suspension typically has a reputation for not articulating as well as a solid axle.
Yes.
And what I mean by articulating is how well the vehicle keeps tires on the ground. Yes. So if you look at like the front end of a Jeep, it's got a basically a stick axle where both wheels are tied together, which is what you want off-road, because it does a great job of pushing one wheel up, cantilevering the other onto the rock, and, you know, giving you the best possible traction. Now, Ford says they don't need that in the Bronco. They've gone with a new independent suspension setup, they said, and with the sway bar disconnect, they even mentioned that this vehicle has more front articulation than a Wrangler, and more rear articulation. They said 17% more in the front, 10% more in the rear. How does that feel? Do you think that's true?
You know what? Right now, I haven't felt my front tire in the air yet, and so maybe that's true. But you know what else you have to look at? You have to look at the RTI scores, right? Yep. Like you said, when they compare vehicle for vehicle, RTI is the ramp travel index. Basically, if you're going up this ramp incline, you know, when is the moment you're going to lift a tire? Okay. So, and the Bronco actually has pretty good numbers there, and we can put the numbers on the screen, right? Yeah. And actually show that. Is it better than the Wrangler? I don't. So here's the thing. I was looking up last night Wrangler's RTI score, and I didn't see it published by Jeep. Okay. That's not a good sign. I don't know why they didn't publish it. Now, of course, how would you say the ride quality is on this short wheelbase with the big tires? I actually I'm enjoying this ride. I think the tires are helping a lot. Ford has prepared this Bronco, and they air it down to 25 PSI. And I think that's, you know, that's not a very low pressure, but still, I think it provides a slightly better ride, and I'm enjoying it. I do agree, Andre. One of the issues with having the solid axles in the Jeep is you get a lot of head toss. Yeah, right? You're going back and forth, back and forth. Because when one tire hits a rock, the other one is impacted as well, and you just get a lot of this. Yeah. So far in the Bronco, I've been very impressed with the lateral stability. We're not being thrown around as much as you might be in a Jeep, which is a good thing. Mm-hmm. That is a good thing. It is. Now we're really going to have to get this vehicle back home to Colorado and test it on some more difficult terrain to really see how the articulation is with the sway bar disconnect and all the goodies. Yeah. For I think the vast majority of folks, it's probably going to be enough though. I would agree, and I think, you know, the important things are here: the ground clearance, the tires, you know, the ability to have lockers. I think those are the key things. For sure. Okay, this is in the middle of the course, and I'm gonna try to show articulation, guys. We've been talking a lot about RTI scores, RAM travel index, and actually it's getting more challenging. We're climbing higher, and we're also there's some unsettled areas where you are testing your articulation. Yep. Thank you.
Andre, I've got the window sticker on this particular Bronco. It's a 2021 two-door advanced 4x4 black diamond with the 2.7 liter EcoBoost, so the bigger V6.
Aha, nice.
And the 10-speed automatic transmission. And what do you think the retail price on this model is?
The base starts at about $28,500 before destination.
Yep.
The other starting price is about $36
for the black diamond, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then another $7,000 approximately for the Sasquatch package. So that's 43, 44, 45.
So according to the sticker, this one is Cyber Orange. It's a $600 option. It's got the EcoBoost. That's $1,900. 10-speed, $1,600. Sasquatch on this model is $4,995, and that gives you the big tires, the front locker, the 470 gears, and then towing capability group and the keypad and some other little things. $47,990 as equipped.
Yes, and by the way, this doesn't show fuel economy yet, but those numbers are out.
Yes, we'll font them.
We'll font them on the screen.
They're a little poor, Andre.
They're not great.
They're not great.
And you know what else is not super great?
What?
The curb weight.
What's the curb weight?
It's high.
Okay.
So model for model, it's almost about 300 pounds heavier than the Wrangler.
Wow, interesting.
So it is a chunky vehicle. It's kind of, but it feels nice in here. You know, I have a lot of elbow room.
So Andre, some other things we should talk about. And this is where things are going to get interesting.
What?
Because if you look at some of the specs on the Bronco, they are higher than the Wrangler.
Yes.
So approach angle is about the same. Wrangler might have a slight advantage, but if you look at the breakover angle, the ground clearance, the departure angle, Bronco has a slight edge over the Jeep.
Actually, the departure angle is about the same too.
Okay, so departure angle.
But the breakover angle and the ground clearance is slightly higher.
But I do have some interesting news.
What?
Jeep is not taking the Bronco lightly.
What are you saying?
They have a response.
What's Jeep's response?
I am looking at a text here from the president of Jeep in North America.
Yes.
And
are you saying Jim Morrison?
Jim Morrison, yeah. He has told me something very interesting.
Okay.
At this point, when we're filming this, it's embargo, but when we can publish the driving impressions of the Ford, it will be open. Jeep has revealed a new model.
And what is it called? And what is it? What is it?
It is a more capable version of the Wrangler Rubicon. It has 35-inch tall tires from the factory, just like the Bronco Sasquatch.
Okay.
The approach angle 47.4, departure angle 40.4, ground clearance 12.9, and the water fording. What's the water fording on this?
33.5.
The new Jeep, 33.6.
Are you serious?
Yes, I kid you not. So Jeep's coming back with a little bit of a power move there.
But what are they calling it? A Rubicon Plus, or what does it say?
I don't have that information.
Okay.
I'll font it here because it'll be public at that point. But it's very exciting. I mean, look, Jeep has had this market to themselves for the last 25, 26 years.
Yes.
With really no competition in the open top four-wheel drive market. But now that Bronco's here, it's forcing everybody to be better. You know, it's exciting.
Yeah,
we're going to see
competition.
Hopefully, we're going to see more value, more features, more tech in both models because they're directly aiming squarely right at each other. So it's
and what? How funny is it that the president of the Jeep is actually gave you this information as we're here?
I mean, look, let's be honest, guys. There's a lot of competition from these manufacturers.
Absolutely. You know what else with Bronco? The other trim they have?
What?
It's called Wild Track.
I like that name.
And it's supposed to be higher speed, capable off-roader.
So, what about the GOAT modes? What are GOAT modes?
Oh, so GOAT modes, I have many here. and you know, sport, eco, slippery, sand, and right now I'm in rock crawl mode because this is, you know, we're very, you know, most of this is very slow. And also, dude, we have to talk about shocks, suspension, right?
Yeah.
So standard Bronco. And Tommy, so one more thing that's very important is actually the shocks. Standard Broncos come with, you know, Ford tuned and Ford quote-unquote branded shocks. But the most capable Broncos, the Sasquatch package and the Badlands, come with Bilsteins.
Okay.
And they're position sensitive, they have rebound and full droop stops, and they're different sizes because the Sasquatch and the Badlands have different heights.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So that right there was your first look at the Ford Bronco Off-Road. Now obviously, this is a Ford setup event, and they did not really put us through anything all that difficult. I think this vehicle is capable of so much more, so we're gonna have to wait and get this thing out to Moab and through the Colorado trails to see what it really can do in stock configuration. The pros, I think the ride is really, really good. I think the tire size, the ground clearance, the approach angles, they're definitely there. Cons, engine felt a little twitchy and low range on the trail. Still not convinced about the independent front suspension in terms of max articulation, but a lot more testing to do and we can get this thing back on our home turf. As always, this has been Tommy, and behind the camera, Andre. Check out TFLoffroad.com for more independent and honest reviews.